welcome to episode 4 of Discovering Steven Universe. Today I'm going to be talking about an episode that honestly really surprised me and seemed to kind of come out of nowhere, at least for me, and that is Together Breakfast. And if you watched the previous review, I said that the only thing I could kind of take from the title is that breakfast will be made, and I was very much correct in that assumption. So let's get into the episode, starting with my favorite parts. Starting with number 1, the sudden and out of nowhere dubstep strawberry. It's like, and it happens twice in the episode too. It's like Steven's putting together this waffle and whipped cream and syrup and popcorn mixture, and then the last bit is a strawberry, and while he's holding the strawberry there's dubstep playing, and I know there's some people that don't like dubstep. I personally like it, and just both times that it started playing cracked me up. I absolutely love that, as weird and random as it is. Alright, moving on, my second favorite part of this episode was when we get the glimpse of the creepy art that Garnet was taking into the depths of the Crystal Palace, or Crystal Palace? Temple. Yeah, into the depths of the Crystal Temple. And I just, well, first of all, it looked like some weird kind of modern art. I don't know if it was sort of inspired maybe by some sort of magical runes, or if it was just literally a doodle by one of the artists. It's hard to say, for me at least. But yeah, just that little glimpse that we got at first, followed by that creepy laughter, I just thought that was a really nice touch. And it was just very, in this episode where so far all we had been seeing was Steven waiting on the others to get there and making breakfast, all of a sudden we see this demonic piece of paper that apparently you can't even take a cell phone picture of, because Garnet destroys that as well. I don't know, I just found that, I found it intriguing and just part of the episode that really gripped me. Now moving on, my third favorite part of this episode, confusing / favorite part of the episode, is that Amethyst can shapeshift, and not just shapeshift but change into a different looking person. She maintains her purple skin, but at the same time she appears with I guess it was sort of a firefighter kind of person. It was very strange, but at the same time she still had her regular voice. But I just found that interesting that she's able to do that, and it makes me wonder, are the other crystal gems able to do that at will? Is Steven possibly even able to do that at will? And if so, will that come into play in the future on the show? So yeah, I really like that moment. And moving on from there, my fourth favorite part of this episode was that we got a glimpse into the depths of the Crystal Gems Temple. And I don't know if at this point in the show that the creators had any sort of overall structure in mind. Now, obviously Pearl's area is on top with the fountains and Amethyst is down below. I don't know if Garnet has her own room yet per se. It hasn't been shown, unless it's that lava room. But yeah, just the design of it all, the way it all works together, like it kind of seems like it's running on TARDIS technology, in that while the mountain there is rather big, it seems to me that the area is a bit bigger on the inside, if that makes any sense. Or maybe it's just my imagination sort of making things bigger than they actually are. But yeah, I just really like the design of the inside of the temple so far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it. And that's one thing that I'm pretty sure we will see as the show goes on, is more of the inside of the temple, especially after Steven is able to start using his powers, which hopefully that happens eventually or sometime soon. But moving on from there, my fifth favorite part of this episode was the breakfast monster. And and I guess you could even say sort of the transition from that weird piece of art into the breakfast monster. Like that whole scene where Garnet is trying to contain the entity, whatever it is, inside of her magic bubble. And then it breaks out and it merges with the breakfast and tries to kill them all. But just the way they designed the entity, first of all, when it came out of the picture or the picture was burned, like, that was really interesting. Like, it had some almost kind of human features in that it had hands that could reach out and grab, but it was just this bodiless entity, and I'm curious whether what that was will ever be touched upon. Probably not. But I mean, there's a lot of the show left to go, so they may go back to it at some point. But then even when it merged with the breakfast and became the monster itself, I really like the way that was utilized, which actually brings me to my 6th favorite part of the episode, and that is, maybe this is me looking into it a little bit more than I should, but I found it interesting that Steven seemed to have this sudden boost in strength, because the creature has obviously overpowered Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst, or at least Pearl is stuck to the wall because of the whipped cream it merged with. But he had this sudden surge of energy, which it isn't shown really as a surge of energy. It's not like his crystal glowed and gave him extra powers or anything, but he moved the creature, being still part of it still being on the plate, which may have contributed to that, into the lava and destroyed it. And I just found that rather interesting. I just kind of like that fact that seemingly Steven is capable of having these slight bursts of strength. Whether or not that's an actual thing, I don't know, but it just kind of seemed that way to me. But alright, moving on to my annoyances with this episode. The first one is actually kind of tied into Steven's sudden strength, and it's that while the show obviously focuses around Steven, it's named after him, I mean, the obvious more powerful characters in the show are the crystal gems. And this seems like the second time that the gems have been relatively easily overpowered, and then all of a sudden Steven, who can't use his powers yet, is able to overpower or trick the monster in the end. The first being the first episode, Gem Glow, and the second one being this episode. And I just found that, I don't know, I find that kind of strange, because on one hand, the show has these awesome, badass female characters, but this is twice now, in the span of 3 episodes, that they've been shown up by a young boy. And again, maybe I'm reading too much into that, but it just, I don't know, it kind of irks me a little bit that that's occurring. That may not be the intention at all. Again, I know, Steven Universe is the name of the show, and it's him coming into his own. It's him doing everything he can in various ways to prove himself worthy of being a crystal gem. So that may just be part of his story in this, and we'll get more of like the other character stories as we go along, and we won't just get all of these where the powerful warriors are easily overpowered, then Steven saves the day. Or at least I hope we get more stories without that common theme. But yeah, that would be my biggest issue with this episode, my biggest annoyance with this particular episode. And that, again, may just be me reading too much into it and missing the point in some way. And then my other issue with it is popcorn on pancakes? Ew. So yeah, I don't have any other annoyances. The one annoyance was the only one I had, and I just kind of threw in the popcorn one there for being funny, because really, who puts popcorn on pancakes? That's just bizarre. So strange. I'm going to move on from there. So yeah, if you have any other favorite parts of this episode, any of your own annoyances, please do let me know what they are in the comments down below. And if you have anything to say about that one, big annoyance that I had about this episode, please do voice it down below, because again, I openly admit that I might be just reading into this incorrectly, or it's just, again, it's a kid's show. Maybe it's not supposed to be read that way. It's like, the kid is the star. The kid's supposed to be the one that saves the day. I don't know. But all right, moving on from there, it is time for I guess you could say I did kind of have a track of the episode, and that was the dubstep strawberry, or the strawberry dubstep, if we'll call it that. But yeah, other than that, no tracks of the episode, obviously. Moving on, my quote of the episode is actually one that really, it definitely wasn't the first time that they brought the title of the episode into the situation, but I felt like it was the best quote that utilized the title. And it's from Steven as he's pushing the breakfast monster into the lava. I don't care if you are the most important meal of the day. I made you to bring us together, not to tear us apart. You're tearing me apart, Lisa! That's a reference to The Room, a movie that should never be watched. I don't know why I went there. But anyway, yes, that is my quote of the episode. I can't really think of any other lines in particular that stood out to me. If you watch this episode, please do let me know any other quotes you might have found interesting, or maybe some that seemed innocuous to me, but might have some big significance. And just to don't spoil what significance they might have, obviously, but say that this might have something, you might want to keep this line in mind. Something along those lines. But okay, moving on from there. I do have a theory regarding this episode, and it has to do with the Crystal Heart. And it's that I can't help but feel like the Crystal Heart is going to be a recurring theme in this show. It may not be a frequently occurring theme, because obviously a lot of the threats, at least so far, have come from the outside, not so much the inside. But obviously there are dangerous parts of the temple that apparently the Crystal Heart leads to. So at some point they're going to experience some dangers within the temple, and the Crystal Heart might have something to do with that. Or I don't know, the Crystal Heart might get destroyed and it'll unleash whatever is inside the temple. I don't know. I say I don't know a lot in this, don't I? Because I don't know. Leaves a lot of things unanswered, but it's really intriguing in that way as well. But as for my overall thoughts on this episode, again, other than my one big annoyance that I stated earlier, I think this may be my favorite episode so far, just because of the scenery, the things we get to see, and, well, yes, there were some quirks with the animation. Overall, again, this may just be my eyes playing tricks on me, but I feel like parts of the just regular animation were actually improved over the last few episodes, which kind of made the strange parts a little bit more jarring in a way. But at the same time, some of the strange parts looked better in my opinion. Like there was one that I'm not going to be able to imitate the facial expression, but I think it's when Garnet first appears and Steven is holding out the breakfast and his face kind of does a kind of thing. That looked good and it looked funny to me, even though it wasn't animated, just because it was like strangely formed, but it worked. At least for me it did. And then the rest of them, like, again, there were a few times, probably the one that was most jarring to me was when we get the perspective of Amethyst running down the hall. There was something about her proportions that just felt strange and off to me. So yeah, that was one example of it, but I mean, other than, again, just some of those minor animation quirks, I feel like this episode alone was a major improvement, really in every way. And this is an episode that I feel like has started to grab me with this series. Now, don't get me wrong, I have liked the series so far, I've liked the show so far, but I haven't really had any episode yet that has really gripped me, even this one. But Together Breakfast is definitely one that has started to make that grip happen. So I'm looking forward to what happens over the next few episodes and see if it might continue to advance my opinion in that way. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of this and learning more about the show, learning more about the Gems universe and Steven universe himself. But alright everyone, next time we will be talking about Frybo, F-R-Y-B-O. I can't take anything from that other than maybe it's the name of a robot or something. I honestly have no idea. But yeah, I will see you all next time for episode 5 of Discovering Steven Universe. Please do tune in next time for Frybo, and until then everyone, I'm Papa Ken, and I'll see you next time on Discovering Steven Universe.